but what could a reasonable jury have concluded was proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So in July 2018, Juanita Salazar and her cousin, Kevin Montoya, were returning to Salazar's home. Two men and a woman were parked nearby in a silver Camaro. A silver Camaro. Watch out for those Camaros, folks. They're bad news. One of the men was wearing a white cowboy hat. Salazar and Montoya exchanged pleasantries with the men, and soon after, the men rushed them. The man in the cowboy hat, who was later identified as Carlos Lopez Martinez, hit Salazar on the head with a handgun and demanded her purse. Lopez Martinez threw Salazar to the ground and attempted to take the purse. Salazar asked her cousin, Montoya, for help, but when he tried to intervene, the other man, Serna Lopez, the defendant at trial and the appellant here, pulled out what appeared to be a handgun and told him to get back. Montoya moved away at the sight of the weapon, telling his cousin that he could not help her because he has a gun, meaning Serna Lopez. Once Lopez Martinez had possession of Salazar's purse, both men ran back to the Camaro and fled the scene. The woman drove the Camaro. The purse contained IDs, credit cards, over $500 worth of jewelry. The men did not attempt to rob the male cousin, Montoya. Salazar, the victim of the robbery, called law enforcement, reported the incident. She identified Serna Lopez as the man who pointed a gun at Montoya, stating she recognized him from our prior social interaction. She also stated that she knew where he lived. Officers drove to the location believed to be Serna Lopez's home, but could not locate him. But they got lucky. The next evening, another officer drove by the same location and spotted a silver Camaro. He saw two men enter the Camaro and he followed them. The officer noted a straw cowboy hat positioned behind the driver. Believing this to be the same vehicle and individuals involved in the previous night's robbery, the officer conducted a traffic stop. Did he have reasonable suspicion that these could be the guys who committed the armed robbery? Sure. Indeed, I would argue probable cause. Car description, hat description, maybe a description of the armed robbers. In any case, if you're in a car, there's almost always probable cause. The cops will always have some reason to pull you over. Lopez Martinez was driving the car. So one of the robbers, Serna Lopez, was in the passenger seat. At Serna Lopez's feet on the floorboard of the car, officers found some meth, of course, and a BB pistol. And then in the trunk, there was also a .22 caliber Sig Sauer handgun. The men were arrested. Law enforcement then drove the victims to the scene of the arrest, where they did a show up. You've all heard of a lineup, which happens at a police station. Folks are lined up on a wall. A show up is where they bring the victim of the crime to wherever the suspect's been arrested. And of course, the victim points at the suspect and says, yep, that's the guy. Very, very biased procedure, but that's typically how it's done. So she identified Serna Lopez, and he would be brought to trial, and he would be